Thailand looks like the kind of place that was simply made for drone footage. And if you're thinking of bringing one, I want to help you make that decision before the trip, not after you land. Long coastlines and limestone cliffs, turquoise island water, temple silhouettes at sunrise. If you already own a drone, it is very easy to think, why would I not bring it? But in 2026, Thailand is not necessarily a just throw it in the bag drone destination. And by the end of this video, you should have a clear answer on whether bringing one makes sense for the trip you are actually taking. Because for a lot of travelers, getting the drone into Thailand is not the hard part. The harder question is whether you will get enough legal, workable, low-stress flying to justify carrying it at all. That is the real decision here. The short answer is, for most travelers, Thailand is not a casual drone destination. It is much closer to a project destination. For a short trip tourist, that may mean leave it at home. For a longer stay creator or deliberate hobbyist, it can still make sense, but only if drone footage is central to the trip and you are ready to treat the drone like regulated equipment, not a spontaneous travel extra. So this is not a blanket no, but it is also not a relaxed, just avoid airports and you'll be fine kind of place. And if you're still seriously considering bringing one, I'll give you a practical checklist at the end so you know where to start. Most travelers begin with the wrong mental model. They assume the main hurdle is airport security, customs, or battery rules. And yes, those things matter. You still need to handle lithium batteries correctly and pack them the way your airline expects. But that is not the heart of the Thailand problem. The real friction starts after you land. Because Thailand is not asking one simple question. It is asking several at once. Can you register the drone properly? Can you insure it properly? Can you navigate the systems you need to use? And can you legally fly where you actually want to fly? On top of that, recent border tensions with Cambodia have added security-related drone restrictions, which is another reminder that this is a moving target, not a fixed set of rules you learn once and forget. That is why I would think about Thailand as a layered drone environment. In practice, that means dealing with both the aviation side and the telecom side, plus liability insurance, the kind of paperwork that does not fit neatly into a one-week beach trip. This is where the drone stops feeling like a travel accessory and starts feeling like a regulated project. And then comes the bigger problem, location reality. In the next few minutes, I want to walk through the places most travelers actually imagine using a drone in Thailand. Beaches, islands, temples, parks, city views, because that is where the decision becomes much clearer. The places that make Thailand feel worth filming are often the places where the system gets least friendly. Beaches sound simple until they overlap with protected zones, crowds, or local staff intervention. Temples sound cinematic until you remember that religious sites are exactly the kind of place where flying a drone can shift from great footage to bad judgment very quickly. City skylines sound tempting until you factor in density, people, structures, and the reality of trying to fly something visibly intrusive in spaces that are already full of constraints. And national parks sound like the obvious reason to bring a drone at all, right up until you realize that protected areas are often exactly where rules tighten the most. That is the hidden mismatch in Thailand. It is not just that there are rules, it is that the rules and the dream use cases often collide. So the real question is not just, can I bring a drone to Thailand? It is, will I still be glad I brought it once I see how small the comfortable flying window really is? Typical pattern is that people imagine the drone adding freedom to the trip, when in reality it adds management. You're thinking about whether a spot is sensitive, whether it's protected, and whether today is the day someone actually decides to enforce the written rules. And that brings us to the most misunderstood part of this whole subject, law versus enforcement. Because the internet is full of dangerous half-truths in places like this. You can always find footage from people who clearly flew somewhere questionable, or stories from people who skipped parts of the process and nothing happened. That doesn't mean the system is permissive. It means enforcement is uneven. Uneven enforcement isn't freedom. It's uncertainty. And for foreigners flying at beaches, temples, islands, or viewpoints, that uncertainty is part of the cost. You are not just deciding whether the shot looks good. You are deciding whether the shot is worth the mental overhead, the possible interruption, and the chance that your reading of the situation is more optimistic than the person who walks over and tells you to stop. That is why I do not think widespread non-compliance should reassure anyone. If anything, it should clarify the risk structure. Thailand does not necessarily look like a place where enforcement is constant. It looks more like a place where enforcement can be selective, local, complaint-driven, or tied to exactly the kinds of places travelers care about most. So what does it mean to treat the drone like a regulated project? It means thinking about registration, insurance, documentation, and timing before the drone ever becomes useful. It means checking current rules close to departure instead of relying on old forum posts or videos. It means assuming that if the drone can physically take off, that still tells you almost nothing by itself about whether the flight is wise, appropriate, or allowed. And it means planning around locations you can afford to lose. Because if your whole creative vision depends on famous temples, national park scenery, dense city visuals, or iconic tourist beaches, you are building the trip around some of the very places most likely to create friction. I've seen travelers carry drones across the world only to realize the only places they feel comfortable flying are the places they were least excited to film in the first place. That is where the Thailand decision gets honest. If you're planning a short trip to Thailand, a week or two, say, I think the case for bringing a drone is usually weak. Not because it is impossible, but because the hassle-to-payoff ratio looks poor. Too much setup, too much uncertainty, and too many attractive places sitting inside the very zones most likely to complicate things. If you are a long-stay traveler or digital nomad, the logic improves. You have more time to sort out the system, more room to wait, and more flexibility to scout practical locations. That does not make Thailand easy, but it does make the project more survivable. If you are a serious hobbyist, the real question is whether you enjoy the process side of this as much as the flying itself. If paperwork, planning, and adapting around restrictions feel like part of the hobby, Thailand may still feel worth it. If your favorite part is spontaneous flying in iconic places, it is a worse fit. If you are a travel creator shooting personal content, I think the drone only makes sense if aerial footage is central to the trip or the channel. If it is just nice to have B-roll, Thailand feels like a place where the burden can easily outweigh the value. And if you are thinking commercially, or even semi-commercially, Thailand looks much more realistic for licensed local or long-term operators than for casual visitors who hope they can just show up and monetize footage. So what is the honest answer? Should you bring a drone to Thailand in 2026? Only if you already know why it matters. Not because Thailand is automatically off limits, and not because no one ever gets great drone footage there. Clearly people do. But for most ordinary travelers, the drone is easier to pack than it is to justify. If this is a short trip, if the drone is just an optional extra, or if the whole plan depends on famous locations where the practical and legal picture gets murky fast, I would lean toward leaving it home. If drone footage is central to the trip, if you are staying longer, if you're prepared for paperwork and planning, and if you can accept that some of the most tempting places may also be the least workable, then the answer becomes more conditional. Thailand is not really a throw it in the bag and see what happens drone destination. It is a bring it with intention or do not bring it at all destination. If you're still seriously considering bringing a drone, the next step is simple. Check the current official Thailand guidance, look at the CAAT portal and NBTC registration requirements, and make sure you understand what paperwork may actually apply to you. You'll also need drone liability insurance, at least 1 million Thai baht in coverage. Start by checking whether your existing insurer offers UAV or drone coverage for Thailand. If not, search for drone liability insurance for Thailand before the trip, not after you arrive. Then review DJI FlySafe and your airline's battery rules, and map the places you actually want to fly before the trip, not after you arrive. I'd also build a backup plan in case some of those spots turn out to be restricted, impractical, or just not worth the hassle. I'll put the best starting links in the description below. One quick note before you go. People looking for advice often end up finding explanations wrapped in more hype than clarity. If my calmer breakdowns feel useful, subscribe. It tells YouTube this kind of explanation is worth showing to other travelers. And of course, likes are always appreciated. They really do help the channel. Leave a comment if you've ever brought a drone abroad, or decided not to, and what made that call easier or harder than you expected. I'm interested in hearing about your experience. Thanks for joining me, and safe travels, wherever you're headed.